everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Rita from Craftfully Made, and in today's tutorial I will be showing you how to sew up my fabulous Daydream Notebook cover pattern. On the front you have this beautiful accent panel along the spine, plus this area that is perfect to customize. As you can see, I have added a heat transfer vinyl quote that says it takes a big heart to ship little minds. So there are so many fun and creative ways you can personalize this front panel. Now let's take a look inside. On the left side, you have an ID pocket, a credit card pocket, a zipper pocket, a slip pocket, another slip pocket, and you have a sleeve that is perfect for holding a candle or a tablet. On the right side, you have a stripe that is perfect to hold a junior legal size pad, and then also a sleeve for your composition notebook. So that just slips right in for the legal pad. And then if you're adding a composition notebook, that slips right in. For closure, you have the option to use an elastic band or leave it off depending on your preference. Here you have it closed without the elastic band and with the elastic band. Alright guys, so just a quick note. There is no lining on the main exterior front and back or the interior slip pocket. So the stabilizer will be visible as you're adding things into them. But if you just open up your notebook cover like this, they're not visible at all. You do not see your stabilizers. But I'm going to take some of these things out so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so here is your notebook cover open. The stabilizers are not visible at all. But if you lift here to pull your tablet or your Kindle in there, there's your stabilizer that is visible. Same for here. And then a slip pocket for here. But once they're open, it is not visible. And I just didn't think it needed lining. However, that is an option if you want. I have included notes in the pattern, the PDF, to go over how you can add lining to your main exterior front and back and a slip pocket if that's something you want to do. Okay, timestamps are in the description below. So if you want to skip to any steps in this process, just click on that link and it will take you directly to that step. Okay, guys, are you ready? Let's get started. In this section, we will be working on fusing and prep. In the pattern, I have given you different options for stabilizing depending on how firm or structured you want the notebook cover to be. For this tutorial, I will be stabilizing according to the fusing instructions in the pattern. So you want to leave your exterior front and back piece wrong side up and fuse it to give it heavy, 1/8 of an inch down from the top raw edge and 1/8 of an inch in from both side edges. Afterwards, if you're using adhesive foam, you want to choose which side to add your adhesive foam. I'm adding mine to the left hand side here because I prefer my padding underneath where the front of the cover is. Also, if you prefer, you can just pad both sides, like the left and the right hand side. Instead of just padding one side, you can choose to pad both sides. And then for the right and left sleeves, you want to fuse to give it light to the wrong side. You want to come down 1/8 of an inch from the top raw edge and then 1/4 of an inch in from the straight raw edge that is not rounded, and then fuse to give it light. For the slip pocket, you just fuse to give it light to the back, the wrong side of your slip pocket piece. And then for your stripe, you want to fuse to give it heavy to one of the pieces, and then add double-sided tape to the wrong side. Now you want to place both pieces wrong sides together. And then if you haven't done so already, you want to now punch out your holes, your rivet holes. Then we will take this to the machine and want to top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance all along the raw edges. All right, with top stitching done, you want to now add double-sided tape to the short raw edges on the wrong side, but do not remove the backing from your double-sided tape just yet. And then at this point, you want to mark the centers on some of your pieces. Do not make snips or cut into these pieces. You want to use an erasable marking tool to mark your centers. So you mark your centers on the top and bottom of the main exterior front and back piece, your accent piece, the interior contrast, your zipper pocket, and the zipper pocket backing. In this section, we will be working on the main exterior. For this section, you will need the main exterior front and back, the interior contrast, and the accent. First, we want to lay our interior contrast piece wrong side up, and then add double-sided tape to both of the long raw edges. Now we want to position the interior contrast wrong sides together with the main exterior front and back piece. Want to make sure we're matching the centers at the top and bottom edges. One thing you want to be mindful of if you are using directional print for your interior contrast is that it is oriented the correct way. You want to make sure you know where your front is as you're laying this down, because if not, your interior contrast will be upside down in your cover when it's done. Right now, I want to take this to the machine and top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance along both long edges of our interior contrast. With top stitching done, you want to now grab the accent piece and on the wrong side, add double-sided tape to both of the long raw edges. All right, then you want to lay your main exterior front and back piece right side up, and then position your accent piece right side up on top. Match up the centers at the top and the bottom. So now I want to take this back to the machine and top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance along both long raw edges of our accent piece. In this section, we will be working on the right sleeve. For this section, you will need the right sleeve, your stripe, and 2 sets of rivets. On the wrong side of your sleeve, you want to mark a line 1/2 inch in from this long raw edge that is now rounded. And then add a piece of double-sided tape at that straight edge and fold that edge to the line that was drawn. Now I want to turn our piece to the right side, take to the machine, and top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance from the folded edge. With top stitching done on the right sleeve, you want to leave this piece right side up. And then remove the backing from the double-sided tape that was placed on your stripe, and then position that stripe right side up on top of your right sleeve. Refer to the pattern for the distance needed to position your stripe. Afterwards, you want to punch the rivet holes through the sleeve and then set your rivets. After setting your rivets, you want to turn your piece over to the wrong side and add double-sided tape all along the 3 raw edges, but do not remove the backing from your double-sided tape just yet. In this section, we will be working on the zipper pocket and the ID pocket. For this section, you will need the zipper pocket, the ID pocket, the zipper pocket lining, the zipper pocket backing, your zipper with the pull attached, and your ID window. First, you want to add double-sided tape all along the full edges of the ID window. And then we will place this ID window on the wrong side of our ID pocket over the cutouts. Then you want to turn this to the right side, take to your machine and top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance all around the window. Do not backstitch, instead pull threads to the back and tie off. With top stitching done, we want to leave our piece right side up and draw a line down the center using an erasable marking tool. Then we want to place this right side up on top of our zipper pocket, and the zipper pocket will be right side up. We'll place this piece and align the bottom and side raw edges, clip to hold in place, take to the machine, and want to top stitch following that center line we drew. With top stitching done, lay your zipper pocket piece aside just for a second. Grab your zipper, and on the right side, you want to add double-sided tape to both long edges. Now you want to lay your zipper pocket piece right side up on top of your zipper, making sure the zipper is centered within that window and the zipper pull is closer to the left. Also, guys, one thing I forgot to mention, after you top stitch your ID pocket to the zipper pocket, if you notice it's longer on the sides, you can go ahead and trim that so that it's even with the zipper pocket. Okay, guys, to complete your zipper pocket, you're about to watch a video I recorded when I released a free collection of my zipper overlay. The steps are the same, so just follow along as you complete your zipper pocket. As you go to close the side of your lining, you will sew at a 3/8 seam allowance and then trim your seam allowance down to about 1/8 of an inch. After that is done, we'll come back to the Daydream Notebook cover, and I will show you how to add the backing to your zipper pockets. So leave your piece wrong side up, and then add double-sided tape at that bottom long edge of your zipper. So we'll remove the backing of our tape here. Then grab your zipper pocket and you will place this wrong side up, aligning one of the short raw edges to that bottom edge of your zipper tape, making sure the longer edge of your zipper pocket is facing upwards so it will cover the entire zipper as you place this down. Now you want to turn this to the right side, take to your machine, and top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance away from that lower end of your zipper cutout. You want to start 1/8 of an inch from where your zipper closes and end 1/8 of an inch to where your zipper ends. Again, do not backstitch. You want to leave long tails, pull to the back, and tie those off. Top stitching is done, and I have pulled my threads to the back and tie those off. Next, you want to add double-sided tape right below that stitch line. Then you want to grab the other short edge of your zipper pocket, pull down, and finger press at that fold. What this double-sided tape does is to stick your zipper pocket down. Because we did not top stitch through the zipper pocket, that tape, that double-sided tape, will prevent your zipper pocket from pulling up and being cut in your zipper. Then you want to add double-sided tape at that top long edge of your zipper, and then bring the other end of your zipper pocket up and align to that long edge of your zipper. Now flip this to the right side and take back to your machine. You want to top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance along the other 3 sides of your zipper cutout. You want to start in that last stitch, pull your needle down, top stitch up, stop pivot, top stitch across, stop pivot, and end in that first stitch. Again, do not back stitch, leave long tails to pull to the back and tie those off. Top stitching is done, and I have pulled my threads to the back and tie those off. Last thing to do is to sew down the sides of your zipper pocket to close it. So pull your fabric away from the zipper pocket and sew down. Afterwards, you will trim your seam allowance of the zipper pocket. Okay, we are back to the Daydream video, and here is the zipper pocket all done. The next step is to add the zipper pocket backing to our zipper pocket piece. So we will place both of these pieces right sides together, matching up the centers at the top, clip to hold in place, stick to the machine. We want to sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance away from the top raw edge. As you clip your pieces together, you will notice that the backing is smaller in both the width and the height. And that is to keep the edges from showing so that you can technically use cotton woven fabric if you wanted to. After sewing, you want to flip your piece wrong sides together, finger press at the fold, clip to hold in place, take to the machine and top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance from the top edge. With top stitching done, you want to turn your piece over to the wrong side and add double-sided tape all along the sides and bottom raw edges. But do not remove the backing from your double-sided tape just yet. In this section, we will be working on the left sleeve. For this section, you will need the slip pocket, the left sleeve, and your assembled zipper pocket. First, we want to turn the left sleeve to the wrong side, and then draw a line 1/2 inch in from the long edge that is now rounded. Add a piece of double-sided tape at that long raw edge and fold that edge to the line that was drawn. Now turn your piece over to the right side, take to the machine, and you want to top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance away from the folded edge. With top stitching done, you want to set aside your sleeve piece just for a moment and then grab your slip pocket piece. You would take this to the machine, and on the right side, you want to top stitch the top edge all the way down the slanted edge. And you want to end about 2.5 inches down from that top raw edge. And as you can see, I have already placed a mark to where I want to end my top stitch in. And for a cleaner look, you can choose to not backstitch, pull your threads to the back and tie off. Okay, so we're top stitching 1/8 of an inch from this top edge down the slanted edge and ending about 2.5 inches down from our top raw edge. Very quickly, I just want to go over something. The slip pocket, the way it is designed right now, there's just this opening right here. But some of my testers wanted a wider opening, so they left the entire thing open on the sides also. Now, if that's what you want to do, when you go to the machine to sew, to top stitch, instead of stopping at that 2.5 inches that I told you to stop at, you want to top stitch all the way down. Okay? So if you want your slip pocket open on the sides too, go ahead right now and just top stitch all the way down. Instead of stopping here, you want to top stitch all the way down. With top stitching done, we want to leave the slip pocket right side up. Grab our zipper pocket piece and now remove the backing from the double-sided tape that was placed earlier. And you will position this right side up on top of your slip pocket. Refer to your pattern for the distance needed to position your zipper pocket on top of your slip pockets. All right, so once you're satisfied with your placement, you want to take this now to your machine and top stitch at a 1/8 seam allowance along the sides and bottom edges of your zipper pocket. And I like to back stitch really well at the top here. Okay, we're done adding the zipper pocket to the slip pocket. And at this point, if you prefer, like some of my testers did, you can add rivets in the corner. So here and here on the zipper pocket, you can add rivets. And I think I have an example here. Let me show you. So right in these two corners, you can add rivets. Now you want to turn your piece over to the wrong side and add double-sided tape at the long bottom and side edges. Do not add double-sided tape at the slanted or top edges. Now you want to grab your left sleeve, place this right side up, and then position your slip pocket piece right side up on top. Again, refer to the pattern for the distance needed to position your slip pocket piece. Okay, once you're satisfied with the position of your slip pocket on your sleeve, you want to take this to the machine and top stitch your slip pocket to your sleeve at a 1/8 seam allowance. You want to start, put your needle down in that last stitch. Remember the top stitch we did on our slip pocket? That last stitch is where you want to put your needle down. Do not backstitch here. I will not be backstitching here because I find it trickier to get a neat backstitch because of this curve. But if you want to, totally go for it. So needle down, and you want to top stitch down the sides, the bottom, and then up the sides, and then right here, and then backstitch really well. Okay? So top stitch starting here, down the sides, across the bottom, up this side, and ending here. All right, so if you were leaving your slip pocket open on the side, when you go to add your double-sided tape on the back, you just want to add it over here on this edge and the bottom edge. Do not add double-sided tape on this edge. Then you place this on top of your left sleeve, same distance as in the pattern. And then when you go to top stitch, you're top stitching from the bottom edge here. So you start here, go across your bottom, and then up to the top. All right, so this is how it will look with that opening here compared to the original pattern when it's going to open this much. Okay, so you have options thanks to my wonderful testers. All right, with top stitching done, you want to turn your piece over to the wrong side and add double-sided tape along the raw edges, but do not remove the backing from your double-sided tape just yet. In this section, we will be completing the notebook cover. So for this section, you will need the assemble main front and back piece, your right sleeve, the assemble right sleeve, the assemble left sleeve, and if you are doing the optional elastic, you will need that elastic piece. Okay, so I will be adding the elastic in this tutorial. If you are not doing elastic, it is pretty simple. You would just remove the back end from the double-sided tape on your pieces, place them wrong sides together, take to your machine and top stitch all around out of 1/8 seam allowance, and you're done. All right, if you were doing elastic, you want to now place your main exterior front and back piece wrong side up. You want to make sure the front of your notebook cover will be oriented to the left-hand side here, because the back of your notebook cover is where you want your elastic, okay? So you want that back over to the right-hand side. So mark series of small lines. You want to come in from this raw edge, the side raw edge here. You want to come in 1.5 inches and then just mark a vertical line, about 1/2 inch vertical line. You want to do that on both the top and the bottom edges. So 1/2 inch in, vertical line, about 1/2 inch vertical line. You draw that. Afterwards, you want to draw a horizontal line. So about 1/2 inch horizontal line, you want to come from here at that vertical line. You want to just draw a 1/2 inch horizontal line. So you do that at the top and at the bottom also. So first line is your vertical lines, 1.5 inches in from the raw edge. And then to the left of your vertical line, you want to draw 1/2 inch horizontal line. And then you want to add pieces of double-sided tape right at that horizontal line. So now you want to grab your elastic and you align the short raw edges to those horizontal lines, and the elastic will wrap around the back of the exterior. One thing to be mindful of, if your elastic has a right and wrong sides, you want to make sure you're putting this right side down, okay? So not the wrong side, you want this right side down, aligning that short raw edge at that line, the horizontal line, and then wrapping that over, making sure it's not twisted, and then align this short raw edge to that horizontal line, okay? So at the back here, as you can see, the wrong side of the elastic is showing up and the right side is facing down. Next up is to remove the backing from the double-sided tape that was placed earlier on our sleeves. And then we'll place these pieces wrong sides together with our exterior front and back. So just like that. You just want to make sure you're aligning your edges as you place this down. All right, then I'll also add clips where my elastic is, just to make sure that doesn't move or get shifted. And I also like to add clips right here also, just to make sure that doesn't shift. All right, guys, now is the time to top stitch all around our notebook cover at 1/8 seam allowance. And you can either do that from the interior or the exterior side. I like to top stitch from the exterior because I don't know, I don't like the way my bobbin stitches look, so I prefer hiding them in the interior. So I would do this from the exterior. All right, so with the elastic, I like to start about 1 inch away from the elastic, top stitch all around. And as I come to the elastic here, you just want to make sure you pull that out of the way, like so. And then keep top stitching as you come over here, making sure, keeping this out of the way as you're top stitching around. And as you come over here to the bottom, you pull that out of the way again like that and keep top stitching until you're done. And I will show this to you at the machine. All right, guys, so another thing I like to do at that folded edge of my sleeve, I like to backstitch just to make sure it is secure. I'm closer to my elastic now, so I will pull this out of the way like this, and I'm just gonna fold my piece over slightly so I'm not overstretching my elastic. Again, keeping this out of the way as you go along. So I'm folding my main exterior piece just so I'm not overstretching the elastic. All right, top stitching is done. So just look your piece over, make sure all the edges are even, and if need be, go ahead and trim those edges. Like I have some little overhang over here, and I'm going to trim those off. Okay, we are done with the Daydream Notebook cover. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you had a blast. Comment below if you have any questions or concerns, or shoot me an email anytime.